Hi everyone, welcome back to Java 1 for All. In this video, we are going to talk about initialization block or instance initialization block. So before we start, let's create a new package because it's a new topic. Right click, package, initialization block. And then let's follow the same pattern. We are creating domain and then test. So alt insert domain. And well, let's create first a class here. This class will be, let's start with anime since we are in a row here. And let's create two attributes. One will be the name and another one will be an array of integer that will represent the episode. So private string name and then private integer episodes. Okay, so before we talk about initialization block, we should realize a problem that working with constructor may bring us. So first thing, let's imagine that these episodes, they need to be initialized manually. So basically, we want to have, for example, let's say that we are watching seasonal animes and they have like 12 episodes. So we can basically add 12 episodes here. So let's now create a constructor. Let's use IntelliJ for that. Let's press Alt Insert and then constructor, and then instead of selecting the attributes, just select none, and then we have our constructor. Now I will just print these episodes, and since we are in a row with IntelliJ, so let's use episodes, and then you press Alt Enter, and then iterate. Select iterate and then press enter again, and we have a nice for each for us. And south, press tab, remove the ln, then episode, this variable created right here, and then add one tiny space so everything will be formatted for us. Okay, now we need our test class. So right click, go to package, remove domain, and replace it with test, and then alt insert Java class anime test 01. So now you have to be very careful because we have several other animes and we want to use the one inside the initialization block. So make sure that you are importing from the right place. Now that we confirmed, we are going to just create a new anime here. So basically now, if I execute this piece of code, we will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 12. Basically, from that we can know for sure that the initialization of the objects, they happen before the constructor. So we are going to talk a little bit about this later, but basically they are happening before even the constructor is called by Java. Now, we do have a problem here. What happens if we're talking about one piece, and for the people that doesn't know, it's running for more than 17 years already, and they're expecting to have like 5 more to go. So we have more than 900 episodes, so it would be very, very difficult to add 900 values here manually. So what are the options that we have? Well, we can remove from here, and hey, since the constructor is executed each time the object's created, we can add it here. So basically episodes, and since we don't have an object here, if you just try to assign values, you will get no pointer exception. So first we need to create an array. Let's go with 100 spaces just to keep it simple. And then we need the same thing. Basically I will get this for. No, actually now we cannot use this for. We need to use the for that we are going to iterate over. Episodes.length, and I want each one of the positions, so basically episodes at the position I, to have a value. So I want to count episodes from 1 to 100. Since the I is starting with 0, I plus 1. Okay, so if I execute this code again, Shift F10, you will see now we have 100 episodes. Okay, so everything that we saw so far, we already knew how to work with constructors, how to initialize variables, but then we face a small problem. Let's say that we create a new constructor. Now the constructor, if you press Alt Insert Constructor, will have the name. So it means that we have another option. We can either create enemies without name or episodes and later on initialize them if we add the getters and setters properly. And then we have now the option to create an enemy with the name already created. So I created this one. Now let's do the same for the getters. Let's alt insert inside the class, and then only getters. Let's not create setters for now. So we have get name and get episodes. So basically we have now a constructor with name, just assigning name, and then we have here the arrays being initialized and printed, and then we have two getters, one for anime name and anime episodes. Now let's go back to anime test, and let's say here One Piece. So if I execute this now, you will see that we don't have anything being printed. Why? Because we are using this constructor, not this one. And another thing is, if we come here and we say, for example, anime.getEpisodes, introduce local variable. Actually, let's iterate over it, and then south episode, the same array, Ctrl Shift F10, and we have a null pointer exception. Why? Because it was not even initialized, because the initialization is inside this constructor. So we do have a few options here. You could extract this to a method, but well, again, if we put this inside a method, we don't know for sure that it's going to be called. So what we need is something that will be executed each time this object is created, and it doesn't matter which constructor is being called. So basically we need initialization block. So initialization block is basically open and close curly braces without any naming, without anything, and outside a method. By doing this, you are creating what we call an instance initialization block. Basically, every time an object is created, this piece of block will run, and it will run before the constructor. So if I execute this now, Shift F10, you will notice that we have inside init block, and then we have the null pointer exception. So basically, it doesn't matter the constructor that you are creating, that you are calling, you will always have the initialization block. And even if you call like several times the enemy, it will create and it will call each time. So Control L. That's it. Just give one tiny example here, and then we remove this one. Okay, Shift F10. So we have inside init block being executed once. If I move this back down here, you will notice that it doesn't matter the position, Shift F10, we get the inside init block. So we are not seeing more because of the println. So let me fix this for a second. Let me put this back. So first, the position, it doesn't matter. The initialization block can be anywhere in the code in your class. It will always be executed before the constructor. Secondly, it will execute each time you are creating a new object. So for example, let me just add one south here. So it will just jump one line and then Shift F10. I'm creating two objects. So I have two initialization blocks. So if I create here with one piece, Shift F10, I still have two initialization blocks. So if I create again several several objects, I will get one initialization block being executed for each one of them. So now that we know that the initialization block is executed for each constructor and every time the instance is being created, what if we move this piece of code directly here? So if we do this, we will now notice that it doesn't matter if we call it with a name or without a name, or being this one executed or being this one, it will get us whatever we are expecting. So let's just copy and paste these episodes here. Anime.get episodes. So now Shift F10, we get the init block, and then we get the values. So this means that each time that we create a new instance, this block will be executed. And again, the order doesn't matter. If I add them at the end, they will still be executed before the constructor. That's why there is a kind of convention that the initialization block must be after the attributes. Most of the time you are using to initialize them, and before the constructor, because it will be executed for all constructors. Now, there is kind of order. Everything that we saw so far can be summarized in this way. So the JVM, the first thing that's going to happen is we will get the memory allocated for the object. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. So before everything starts getting into place, the JVM will allocate the memory for this anime object. So every time you run, these are the things that are going to happen. The second step is each class attribute is initialized. So basically, if you don't give any value, the default initialization values will be applied. For example, for reference variables will be null, for integers, for numeric values will be 0, and for boolean will be false. And if you give a value here, this is the one being used. So this happens at the second step. And then after each one of the class attributes is initialized, then the initialization block is executed. So basically, the instance initialization block is executed each time a new object is created. And then, only then, the constructor is executed. So basically, everything that we saw so far can be summarized in this order. So every time you are running our program, this is what's happening. The memory is being allocated, each class attribute is being initialized, then the initialization block will be executed if there is any, and then the constructor will be executed, the one that you are calling inside your test. So for instance initialization block, that's it. I think the main difference is that sometimes I think it's cleaner to have it outside the constructor, and especially if you have more than one constructor, you would like to have the code applied. It doesn't matter which one you are calling. So I hope you liked. See you in the next video. Bye.